Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we have the brand spanking new Tier 9 Premium French Supercruiser, the Carnot, in port to review for you guys today. The Carnot is currently available for 220,000 coal, or you can buy it outright for cash for $77 if you so choose to do so. I do, of course, recommend getting this ship for coal, as it is, of course, free in that way. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over the Carnot's quirks and features, go over her stats, and of course show you guys the build that I have been using on her for this review. But before we get into that, I of course want to thank the Patreons for this channel. As you guys know, I'm of course not a CC, which isn't a rare thing anymore. But I of course get no support from Wargaming, and I run this channel completely independent of them. So these guys' support is very much so appreciated. And of course you guys too by simply watching the video. But if you want to support the channel in an additional way besides just watching the video, Patreon is the best place to do that. So again, huge shout out to those guys whose names are on stream or are on screen right now. And thank you guys for that. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the Carnot. Now, this isn't a traditional first impressions review because I of course played the ship on stream last night. I picked her up when she became available. She is of course a coal ship, and we had quite an interesting time with her on stream, and I got a really good grasp on her playstyle and what she is during last night's stream. But I'm recording this right after stream, so you guys will of course get my genuine first impressions, and you guys will get to see one of my earlier games in her for the gameplay portion. But anyway, so let's go ahead and look at her armor. So 25mm bow, no half icebreaker bow or a wraparound icebreaker bow, just a big old honkin' 25mm slat. Upper belt is 30mm, which is quite nice because that means you can, well, only get overmatched by 18-inch guns if you have this angled properly. And of course, if you angle it properly, it will bounce, well, most everything you see, except again for the 18-inch guns, 457 and above. After plating is 25 as well, both on the stern and on deck. Mid-deck plating is 36mm of armor. Superstructure is 16mm of armor. Again, deck is 36. Turret face is 305. Turret size 270. Turret roof is 150. Belt armor is 180mm. Same for the torpedo protection down there. And the side plating is 27 below the surface of the water. Now, the citadel is quite interesting, not like the normal French citadel. It is protected by turtleback, which this really surprised me at first when I first saw this armor profile. So the citadel is below the water, if you take a look at it there, but it's also protected too. So this ship's really rough to citadel. Even when you're, well, not when you're hard overturning, but unless you're hard overturning, the citadel's nice and below the waterline, protected by that turtleback. So you have to be maneuvering really hard, or of course go through the deck to citadel this ship. Alright, survivability hit points are 66,450, and she has 19% torpedo damage reduction. Her guns, she has 10 305mm guns. It would not be a French ship without some quadruple turrets, as you can see. So you have two sets that are triple barrels, and then you've got this one turret in the front which has the patented French quadruple barrel design. Of course, the parameters are the same. 25-second reload time base, 30-second 180 time. Maximum dispersion at 18.6 kilometers of 204 meters. That's a bit of a yikes for a supercruiser. HE does a maximum damage of 4,250. That is, of course, if it citadels the target. 35% chance of starting a fire on the target. And she has a base pin on her HE of 51mm, so no need for IFHE unless you, for some reason, want to really penetrate the Kremlin's deck. Secondary, AP, I'm just going to talk about the AP. AP has a maximum shell damage of 8,700. Of course, that's when you citadel. And AP has a velocity of 870 meters a second, a bit slower than the HE, which comes in at 905 meters a second. So, yeah. Secondary guns, you have 8 dual 100mm guns. A 3-second reload time, 5% chance starting a fire, a 1400 maximum shell rating for HE shells, which they only fire HE, a 17 millimeters of pin, and an 8-kilometer range. Maybe some potential here for a secondary build if they ever bring back secondary skills, but that 17 millimeter pin's kind of a deal breaker, because at tier 9, that's actually struggling to pin most DDs at tier 9. But the fire chance isn't that bad, along with the reload time on the guns. Then you have these boys, these 139mm guns, which you have 4 of them. You have 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And they have a 10-second reload time, 23mm pin, 8% chance starting a fire per shell, and an 8-kilometer range with a 10-second reload time. So, I mean, again, there's some potential here for secondaries if they ever bring back the secondary skills, which they did mention a while ago, potentially bringing those back for cruisers. But with the pin, I don't know, but the fire chance isn't that bad. But we'll see. Like I said, the main battery firing range base is 18.6 kilometers. AA has an AA rating of 80. It's got 13 single mount 20mm guns. Then it has exactly 1 dual 20mm gun, and then she has 48 glorious Bofors. So I'll just tell you this right now, from my experience with the AA, it's not great, it's not terrible, it's kind of okay. Even has like the okay range of 5.8 kilometers too, so nothing to write home about in my opinion. Speed though, 34.5 kilometer base speed, that's without the flag. The thing's fast. The thing's really fast. 870 meter turning circle radius, and a rudder shift time of 14.4 seconds. Concealment, 14.8 base by sea, and 10.6 by air. Alrighty. I need to show you her gimmicks. Alright, so she only gets 3 hills base. She gets either engine boost, fighter, or spotter, and then you get hydro or DFAA. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and throw my build back on her that I was running tonight, and I'll meet you guys right back here. Alright, I have my build back on her, so hopping into my commander build real quick. I have a 19-point commander on her. I don't have a 21-point French commander yet. Jean will get here eventually. So, I run with, starting off, Last Stand, then pick up Presumable Enhancements, then Adrenaline Rush, Concealment, coming back up for Grease the Gears, Demolition Expert, Superintendent, then coming up here yet again for Gun Feeder, and I'm thinking I'll probably be going for Top Grade Gunner. I was kind of questioning that at the beginning of the night, but once I figured out her playstyle, Top Grade Gunner might actually be a pretty darn good choice to choose for her. Alright, equipment for the modules, I went with Main Armaments Mod 1, Damage Con 1, Aiming Systems Mod 1, Damage Con 2, Concealment, and then Gunfire Control System Mod 2. So why Damage Con and not Rudder like many other French cruisers would? Well, I would choose Rudder if this ship didn't have the battleship burn time, but it does. It's a Supercruiser, so yeah. So I went with Damage Con there. Aiming Systems Mod 1 to rein in that dispersion, and then Gunfire Control System Mod 2 to get us out over 20 kilometers, something that a lot of Supercruisers really do need at higher tier. Alright, for the consumables, I stuck with what I showed you guys earlier. This is what I was running throughout stream and what worked really well. I see no reason to take Fighter or Spotter on this thing when you can have a engine boost like this, which pushes you up and over 43 knots on a cruiser. So this is a huge part of the playstyle of the ship. And then hydroacoustic search. You could swap DFAA if you're having a bad time with cruisers, or if you're, say, in, I don't know what situation you'd be in competitively, unless they do matchmaking for clan battles or something, where it's tier 9 and tier 10, and you just know you're going to run to a CV. Sure, you could take DFAA, and it works well, but hydroacoustic search is much better, in my opinion, for spotting ships close, and of course torps too. Has a 5 kilometer range too, detects torps at 3.5 kilometers. It is active for 121 seconds. The engine boost is active for 3 minutes with the build and with flags on it, so that is quite nice. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump. Concealment, forgot to show you guys the concealment. It's down to 12 kilometers now with the concealment expert on and the module. And just to show you guys too, the guns now have a 21.5 kilometer range and a 25-second 180 time. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead, hop into battle, play the battle footage. I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of the ship while that plays, so I'll meet you guys there. Hey guys, voiceover Mountbatten here. So, the Carnot. This is a ship that, like I said in the port section, I did not hear a lot about. I didn't really know what to expect when I got my hands on this ship. And it was an interesting journey playing it on stream. When I first started the night out, I was trying to play it like a lot of other higher tier supercruisers where you just sit in the back, throw HE, throw some AP at some broadsides, and go about your day. Doesn't really work like that, turns out. The ship's much better suited for mid to long-ish ranges, but it's not really great at long or very, very, very close in knife fighting ranges. One big thing that I feel like would have really made this ship a lot better is if it had torpedoes. It doesn't, and that really, really, in my opinion, degrades what could have been a really great close-in ship. Because, sure, you can push in. Your guns are definitely accurate enough to do some damage at close range, but you don't have any torpedoes. And other ships have torpedoes. So when you're going in on a ship that's equipped with torpedoes, you're taking a huge risk that, okay, if he torpedoes me, I can torpedo him, and we can get a trade at least. But no, you're really, really relying on your guns to really punch them and knock them out when you do that. So that really, really kind of is a buzzkill for me right there. But let's run through the ship real quick after playing it tonight. So, in terms of the armor was a pleasant surprise. Like I said in port, it's a mix of French and German armor. The turtleback definitely comes into play with trying to play the ship mid-range, like I shifted to about halfway through the stream. At the beginning, I was playing it at long range, and then I think about like the hour and a half mark, I started playing it more mid-ish range and using AP more rather than HE. And the armor is very nice when it comes to getting in there and trading blows with other cruisers or even battleships at some points. Again, just like what I say with the Germans and when I talk about the turtleback armor, at close range, it's great for that, but at long range, you're pretty chunky. And as I'm sure you guys have seen, this ship has quite the freeboard around the midsection. So you're a big target, you're a chunky target at long range, so you definitely will be kind of hugging in close for most of the match. The ship can perform at long range, but it's not optimum. At the start of the night, I was running around with HE at long range, running around the back with the speed boost on, going 44 knots, and just, kind of trying to ruin everybody's day. And it was kind of okay, but the accuracy really isn't there at 21 kilometers. But still, in my mind at least, you need to keep that range on your ship because just the nature of higher tier matches, you have moments to where you really do need to be able to reach out past 20 kilometers and try to do something. It's just the nature of higher tier, so that's why I kept it on as much as I would like to have swapped it out for the reload module. If the meta was a bit closer, I'd swap it out in a heartbeat. Now, talking about the meta, this is what handicaps the ship as well. The damage from fires is pretty nutty, of course, with these ships after the commander rework. You can't build into survivability, so you have a 60-second burn time, and you can only really crank that down with flags and the modules. A 60-second burn time on the Carnot with a 25mm bow, no icebreaker bow, and it's a huge target, means you're going to eat a lot of HE, and I sure did when playing this ship. So that's why I kept the damage con modules on too. Now, and I think they really should compromise with these supercruisers and maybe give them like a 40-second burn time or something between the burn time of the cruisers and the burn time of the battleships, rather than sticking them with the 60-second burn time, because it is freaking rough with these ships. Sure, they have the health of like tier 8 or 9 battleships, but the armor is just very squishy to most of the HE spewing ships at this tier. But anyway, so that's why I kept those modules on, and that's what's kind of handicapping it in one way, in my opinion. So, survivability-wise, the ship is pretty tough for going in close and trading AP blows, but unfortunately it does fall to what most ships fall to, HE spam. But it falls a little bit faster because of the thickness of its armor, of course. Now, the guns. The guns are an interesting point. So, 25-second reload time on 10 305mm guns. The norm for most Tier 9 Supercruisers is 9 305 to 310mm guns with around a 20-second reload time with pretty darn good accuracy. Well, the Carnot has one more gun than most of the Tier 9 cruisers, 4 more guns than the Siegfried, but it has 5 more seconds for its reload and does not have Supercruiser dispersion. It is quite funky if you're watching. Well, it's not really funky. It's quite wide, I should say. But it's also consistently wide. It's got quite the crazy horizontal dispersion. The vertical dispersion doesn't seem to be too bad. That one does throw me a curveball every now and then, at least when I was playing last night, but that one seemed kind of okay-ish, but the horizontal dispersion is pretty there if you're watching it. And that's not a terrible thing because, of course, you get your shells going in a line that's conveniently the length of a lot of Tier 9 cruisers. And it's consistent, too. Like I said a couple of videos ago, if you have consistent wonky or meh dispersion, that's actually quite good because you can get used to that as you play the ship. You know what way your shells are going to act, so you can prepare for that. And that's how I've gotten decent with GK over the years. I played so much GK, I just have a really good feeling for how her shells disperse. And the same can be said for any ship with consistently weird dispersion. So that's kind of okay for the Carnot in terms of its dispersion. In my book, at least. And a lot of people were saying it has terrible dispersion, but I was still hitting my targets. I would say terrible dispersion is when you can't hit anything. Like the old German battleship dispersion. Like old Gneisenau dispersion was terrible. The Carnot dispersion isn't terrible. It's just okay in my book. And AP does definitely seem to be the way to go. I tried out HE spamming for the first part of the night because French cruiser. But no, it seems AP is definitely the way to go. But definitely hitting the superstructure and the weaker armored parts of the ship first. It doesn't have like the insane AP of the Soviet ships, like with their velocity and just the fuse time on and the unique fuse time on the not just the unique fuse time, the unique fuses on the Soviet ships. It doesn't have the super heavy AP of the American supercruisers either. So yeah, just aim for the weaker parts of the ship with the AP. You'll be chunking them for like 8 or 9k a salvo, especially if they have a lot of superstructure like the German battleships or the American battleships. You can make them pay pretty well with the Carnot. Like I said, important, nothing really to write home about. It's got an A rating of 81, which at Tier 9 is kind of just I'm sure if you pop DFAA and you have an AA build, you can probably make the CV suffer a few times. But I ran into quite a few CVs and it just seemed like mediocre AA, but not letting the CV exactly walk straight through you either. Maneuverability is definitely the place where the Carnot shines. She's got a 43.7 knot top speed with a speed flag with that engine boost going. So that is quite the party when you're ripping and roaring at that speed. And again, if it had a bit better accuracy or better range, you could be partying in the back, flying around like a mad lad, just burning the world down like you can with the Henry. But this isn't a Henry, this is a Carnot, and sure, you can do that. You can do that. I did that the first half of the night. It did okay. But the latter half of the night, I was using the speed boost to really get an advantage on other ships that I was going into like a mid to close range fight with, because of course at close range too, still booking at 40 plus knots is quite hard for the enemy team to hit, and you have, of course, better acceleration, deceleration too while you do this, so you can really throw off their torps, even from close range. You can kind of pull the emergency brake by throwing your ship into reverse and really throw them a curveball when you're going into a fight, and then, of course, recover right after that too, while the speed boost is still running. And with the module and flag and such, with the captain skill, I'm sure if you equip the module 2, it'll be even longer. And the flag, you have a 3-minute runtime on this speed boost, which is quite nice. So that is definitely a highlight of the ship. Rudder feels a bit sluggish, but again, you could build into it. I wouldn't because of the current meta, but you could and get that down even better. And I'm sure you could be dancing around in the back just fine. Concealment, 12 kilometer concealment's quite nice, but it's not like super good like Zal concealment, but it's not, 15 kilometers either. It's pretty decent, not great, not terrible. And that's what a lot of the ship is to me. It's in that range of not great, not terrible, but there's one or two things like the speed boost and the armor layout that do stand out to me, and that does give this ship quite a few unique and redeeming features, but the rest of it's just okay. Like that's literally what the rest of the ship is like. It's just okay. I do like how there's no like huge gimmick though. I mean, besides the speed boost. Unlike a lot of the other ships that we've been getting at Tier 9, the Napoli with the SAP secondaries and the exhaust smoke, the Dutch cruiser lines, the airstrike gimmick and such. This is just a supercruiser with big guns, with a longer reload time that's set up for mid to longer-ish range, leaning more toward mid-range. If it had torpedoes, I think that this would make the ship a lot better. The hydro is very useful, of course. Engine boost, like I've said, is very useful. If it had torpedoes, it would really be worth it in my opinion. But unfortunately, it's just okay in my mind. It's got its features, it's got its quirks, it's solid in a lot of places, but it's not really worth dumping 200,000 coal on right now. Like I said, there's no huge gimmicks with it except for the speed boost. So if you like a gimmick-free ship, you'd probably enjoy this ship. But I can't tell you to go drop 200,000 coal on this when the likes of the Napoli and the Pommern are around available for coal right now. Those are much better purchases with your coal in my mind. Now, yeah, if you've got the Pommern, you got the Napoli, and you're not really interested in any of the other ships, this one might be the one for you. It's a solid ship. It's okay, but it's not anything special in my mind either. It's a huge target. I mean, again, like look at that freeboard on it, but it's okay. But again, I wouldn't tell you to go drop 200,000 coal on it right now. I'd wait a little while, maybe see what's going to happen with ship removals. Pommern's been in the armory, it feels like forever now. It might be going away pretty soon. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying it's been there for a suspiciously long time and hasn't been removed yet. And it's a really well-received ship. So I might hold on to my coal for that. I would definitely be holding on to my coal to see what happens with the incomparable or incomprehensible or whatever it's called, and see what that's coming out for before you drop a bunch of coal on this ship. So it's an okay ship. If you wind up getting it in like a super container during the anniversary event, I don't know if it's even in that yet, or if you wind up getting it down the road some way, I think it's an okay ship, but it's not worth going dump your coal on right now. I'd wait a while and see what happens with everything else first, guys. But again, an okay ship in my mind. Anyway, guys, that's my review of the Tier 9 Premium French Supercruiser, the Carnot. Oh, and again, of course, guys, get it for coal. Don't pay for this thing. It's a free ship. Get it for coal. Just wait. It's fine. It's definitely not worth $77. It's not. It is not. It's worth the coal, again, if you don't have many other options, but it's not worth the $70. So don't pay for it. Anyway, that's my review for this ship, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you're planning on picking up the Carnot, if you have picked up the Carnot, what do you think of it? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subs, just past 28,700 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Again, guys, hope you're having a great day and a great weekend. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.